You almost never say no. You say later. Later, you'll cancel the subscription. Later, you'll reply to the message. Later, you'll deal with this service. Later, you'll make a decision. And the problem is not that you are lazy or disorganized. The problem is that later has become the default state. If you pay attention, you rarely make final decisions. You are constantly in an intermediate state, not yes and not no, but somewhere in between. This state feels natural, almost safe, almost neutral. And it is exactly in this state that systems make the most money. Because later is not a pause, it is a working mode. If you look honestly, most modern services do not need you to act. They do not need you to decide. They need you not to decide. Look at how subscriptions are built. Formally, you can cancel almost any of them at any time. But almost nowhere are you invited to do it right now. Almost nowhere do they ask, "Are you sure you want to continue?" Instead, the system behaves as if the decision has already been made. Payments are charged automatically. Renewals happen without questions. The interface does not require confirmation. Because confirmation is a decision point, and decisions are risky. Companies are not afraid of rejection. They are afraid of clarity. As long as you remain in later, you stay inside the model. You are not confronting, not demanding, not leaving. You are simply staying. From a numbers perspective, this is easy to explain. The most profitable users are not the most active ones and not the most satisfied ones. They are the ones who have not made a decision for a long time. They log in rarely, use the product occasionally, and almost never contact support. But they pay. Month after month, sometimes for years. Not because they love the product, but because they never reached a final decision. Inside companies, these users are often called passive or inactive. Unofficially, this is the cleanest revenue. No support costs, no infrastructure load, no complaints, just continuation. That is why interfaces are designed the way they are. They do not push you toward action. They remove urgency. No deadlines, no final screens, no clear endpoint. Everything simply continues. This is not accidental. When a user makes a decision, they leave the funnel. When they postpone, they stay inside. That is why interfaces like reminders but avoid questions. A reminder does not require an answer. A question does, and an answer is action. If you have ever noticed how difficult it can be to simply finish something, a project, a subscription, a conversation, a life stage, this is not only about you. Modern systems rarely offer completion. They offer continuation. Because continuation is more stable, quieter, and more predictable. You do not live in a mode of choice. You live in a mode of postponement. And the most uncomfortable part is not that someone is deceiving you, but that the feeling of later starts to feel normal. We are used to thinking that money is made through actions, purchases, clicks, decisions. But if you look at the numbers of large services, a strange thing becomes clear. Most money is made not at the moment of action, but at the moment of absence of decision. According to public reports from streaming services and SaaS platforms, a significant portion of revenue comes from users who log in less than once a month, sometimes less than once a quarter. These users do not consume content, do not use features, do not read updates, but they do not cancel. In the industry, they are called passive users or sleeping accounts. Unofficially, they are the most reliable revenue source because they create almost no costs. If you take an average subscription of $10 to $15 a month, One such user brings in $120 to $180 a year, not because they use the product, but because they did not decide to leave. When there are millions of such users, the difference between active and passive becomes critical. Active users cost more. Passive ones do not. That is why systems are not interested in you constantly choosing. They are interested in you staying uncertain. This logic goes beyond subscriptions. It applies to attention. Social platforms do not need your conscious decision to stay. They only need you not to decide to leave. Endless feeds exist not because they are more convenient, but because an ending creates a decision point. When something ends, the brain asks, continue or stop? When there is no end, the question never appears. Over time, this mode enters life itself. Conversations fade instead of ending. Projects pause instead of closing. Plans remain open. Nothing finishes. Everything continues. At first, this feels comfortable. No pressure, no conflict, no hard choices. But gradually, fatigue appears. Not from effort, but from incompleteness. You are not overloaded. You are underfinished. Your mind is full of open loops. Each later seems small, but together they form constant background tension. The brain does not tolerate open cycles well. It needs action or closure. A pause is the worst option because it requires holding attention. Even when you are not thinking about it, the unresolved remains, not as a thought, but as fatigue. Modern environments amplify this. Shows turn into seasons. Chats never close. Feeds never end. There is no moment to say, I'm done. Life starts to feel not like a sequence of completed stages, but like a feed. Always open, never closed. This fatigue is not a bug. It is not measured, but it is real. And systems are not incentivized to remove it. A tired person is predictable. They initiate less, change less, decide less. They remain. Energy creates exits. Fatigue creates stability. That is why systems are patient. They do not rush you. They wait. Time does the work. Understanding this does not automatically change anything. Understanding is a thought. Systems respond to behavior. As long as behavior stays the same, nothing changes for them. You can understand everything and still remain inside, not because you are weak, but because the environment is stronger. It does not push. It waits. It continues. Life turns from a path into a feed, not a sequence of decisions, but a chain of postponements. This is not a catastrophe, not a conspiracy, not a tragedy. It is simply the form the world takes when optimized for scale. Choice still exists, formally. But systems are optimized not for choice, but for statistics. And statistics say something simple. If nothing interrupts you, you stay. If no decision is required, you postpone. And while you postpone, the system works, quietly, stably, exactly as designed.